This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's community access radio station Plains FM 96.9 and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
Good morning, Bliss lovers. It is Rebecca here. How you all doing today? I'm super excited to be here to present the Find Your Bliss radio show here to you from Plains FM. We talk on the Find Your Bliss radio show about all things intuitive, psychic, metaphysical and esoteric. So welcome to the show, folks. And today we're actually talking about your emotional health and 14 things that you can do to improve your emotional health. Now, I have to fess up straight away. This is actually an article from a woman called Sharon Martin, who is a psychotherapist. But I read it and my mum actually gave it to me, and I read it and I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much in there what she talks about, which is exactly what I talk about on the show. So it's nice to have some ideas, I guess, presented in a slightly different way from a different person. So kudos and thanks to Sharon Martin in terms of me being able to present this information. So, folks, I'm just wanting to know, how are you? What is happening in your world right now? You know, it's always a good time to take stock and to learn what it takes to learn the process of self-inquiry. And we do that by checking in, right? By noticing our body, by noticing if we're holding any tension in our body, by being very aware of how your current reality is showing up. And we want to get really good at being very aware, because when we have awareness, we can make choices from that. So this is why it's going to be great to go through this deeper dive in terms of your emotional health and what you can do to support yourself. Because as you may have realised, happiness is an inside job. Nobody else can do it for you. It's all about your relationship that you're having with yourself. So what we want to do is make that relationship as strong and happy and healthy as possible, because of course what's going to happen from there, it's going to flow into every other relationship that you have. So let's get started on this list of 14 things that you can do for your emotional health. Now, the number one, which I love because it's so important and integral in terms of doing spiritual work, forgive yourself for past mistakes. You know, this is a really good, this is why doing an inventory, you know how you do a stock take in a store so you know where things are at. Doing an inventory of your past experiences in life is really powerful in terms of, where do I still have any emotional charge on that? Am I still kind of beating myself up? Am I using that circumstance that happened as proof that I'm wrong, or somebody else is wrong, or the situation is wrong? It's time to stop beating yourself up, Sharon says. We all have regrets, but dwelling on them weighs us down unnecessarily. Self-forgiveness begins with acknowledging your mistakes, making amends, and learning from your mistakes. So the thing is as well, when we are in a place of unforgiveness towards ourselves, we're kind of anchoring ourselves often in the past, and it's not able to live from the present moment or the present future moment. Present future moment is really, it's about where you want to go. It's about what you want to create. And if you're in a space of unforgiveness towards yourself, your energy is going to have tent pegs in the past, and it's going to pull on your energy in terms of being able to move yourself forward. So really taking a moment to even just think about, where has there been a circumstance in my life where maybe I'm actually beating myself up about it still. And if it's gone, right, it's not happening here anymore, but if you can be relaying the energy or the pattern of it, if you're not aware of it. So just taking some time to think. And again, forgiveness is not one of those things that you can just think about and go, oh, I forgive myself for that experience, right? It takes connecting with your heart. You need to ask the universe to help you. I have never seen true forgiveness occur without the support of the divine. So what does it take to activate that part of you to say, universe, what would it take for me to forgive myself? What you're doing too when you forgive yourself is you're coming back into alignment with the mind of God. You're coming back into alignment with the truth of who you are. You're letting go of illusion, you're letting go of dissonance, you're letting go of untruth. So super important, like forgiveness. If you want to be really happy, forgiveness is where it's at. If you want to be abundant, forgiveness is where it's at. So many people don't realize that forgiveness is connected to abundance. So asking yourself that, do I have anyone, myself included, in my past that actually needs my forgiveness? It's going to be blocking your abundance on some level. And forgiveness also, too, is a consistent practice. I think a lot of people think it's a one-stop shop. No, it can often be a situation where it needs to be continuous. So forgiving yourself, right? Letting yourself off the hook. Stop beating yourself up. Learn how to change your language in your mind. Learn what it takes to go into the heart space and actually go through that process of forgiveness. Super powerful in terms of creating what it is that you want and getting your emotional health back to a place which is really great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the list and then I will come back and I'll talk to more that I feel like are important. Number 2, treat yourself with the same love that you give to others. Have you ever noticed that we're so harsh on ourselves? We're so critical towards ourselves. We look at other people when we can extend them love and compassion and sympathy and empathy, but we're often really critical towards ourselves. And this is kind of directly linked back to number 1, forgive yourself for the past mistakes. Most often than not, it's easier to be kind to others, even strangers, than it is to be kind to ourselves. That's pretty cray-cray, isn't it? Because your happiness really does depend on the quality of the relationship that you're having with yourself. If you're telling yourself, wackadoodle thoughts or talking smack to yourself, you're not going to be enjoying your life experience. If you're doing it consistently, it's going to impact your vibration. It's going to impact your filter and the way that you see life and the world. And that's going to distort your view. And this is what Anais Nin said, right? She said, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So if you see your filter on reality like a window, you want to make sure that window is clean, right? That is truth energy, being able to see clearly, to see what the truth is. The truth is that you are love frequency. If you are not seeing that at the moment, it means you have distortion in your filter. It's not a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of, because then you can go, okay, well, what does it take to see myself as love frequency? What would be required for that? When you start asking questions like that, the universe goes, oh, I hear you. I'm gonna show up and start talking to you, because it will show you. This is how we start activating our intuition. We start asking questions. Even if we're asking a part of ourself, our super consciousness, our more expanded self, our infinite self, if we're directing that kind of a question to that part of ourselves, we will get answers. It won't come in a way that you expect. You have to kind of keep your awareness open and looking for it, right? If you're open, you'll receive the information. If you can have a little bit of faith that the universe is always actually communicating with you through other people, through the old billboard. I used to get license plates a lot, through angel numbers. The universe is always communicating with you. We just have to learn how to speak the universe's language. And a lot of that is connected to silence, like being still, being quiet, being alone, and being connected to source energy. So, and again, people go, oh, that's really hard because I haven't got time to do that kind of stuff. It's a question of priority. Are you actually going to make the universe a priority? Are you going to make the infinite part of yourself a priority? Are you going to take the time to listen to what the universe has to say about who you are? Would you be interested in having a conversation with God? I find that fascinating. Not sure about you, but, to ask God those questions, like, what does this all mean? And then get information, right? Get answers. Get the awareness through things like this, right? Forgiveness, number 1. One of the fundamental principles of knowing yourself truly is forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for everything, forgiving everyone else for everything, right? And I know, like, our ego goes, what are you talking about? That sounds way too hard. That just sounds like it's scary and it will bring up lots of painful emotions and I can't do it. I don't have the capacity. I'm telling you right now, yes, you do. Your soul knows, right? Your ego is often connected to separation, judgment, and blame, which is all untruth, because the truth is we are one energy. We're all connected. We're all extensions of source energy. Every person that you see in your life and world is an extension of you. If you can start seeing God's source energy in other people as an extension of yourself, it's going to change your world. Go out, start blessing people. When you're in traffic jam, try blessing somebody rather than doing the road rage. Completely flip your energy. right? See that person as a gift. Even if it's bringing up anger for you, it's a gift, right? Because it's showing you something about yourself. People don't realize that about road rage, right? It's never about the person in front of them and cutting in front of them. It's never about that. It's about the fact that there's part of you that has unprocessed anger about something that you probably feel is unjust, because then you're having the circumstance where you feel like this person's being unjust and the top's being ripped off, so you can, and kind of in a socially acceptable way, express it. Right? So be aware, be the person who goes, oh, wow, I've got some anger in there. What's that actually about? Ask the universe to show you, hey, universe, what's going on with me that this anger's coming up, and show me, right? Be inquisitive, lean in, even when your mind thinks, oh, no, it's scary because there's an emotion attached to this and the emotion's intense. If you can get good at inquiring in regards to your own emotions, you will blow your mind in terms of your own happiness and, of course, your emotional health. Number 3, have fun, right? Hobbies, play, laughter are all good for mental health. Be sure your calendar includes activities that you do for enjoyment, right? Again, that question, what do you do for fun? What do you like to do for fun? Like I love the work that I do so much that, I'm always talking to the universe, but doing other things that just kind of take you into the zone, like you just lose yourself. It might be a game of chess. It might be a cooking class. It might be making jewellery. One thing that I'm really keen on and interested in exploring at the moment is restoring furniture, to go and buy some material and figure out how to recover a chair, for example. Just takes you to a different place. It's not for the purpose of anything except your own enjoyment. So making sure that you have that in your life. And I think often what's happened through COVID as well is people have realised the need to get the balance right. Like when you have time off, it makes you readjust and recalibrate all your priorities. And what does it take to enjoy your life more? Because often if we're work, and you think about it, there was definitely more of that energy pre-COVID rather than now. People are going, what's important? It's really interesting. Let me tell you an example of this. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about van life, because once upon a time, lived in a van for 6 months, and it wasn't anything like the ones that they have now, where they're all decked out and they've got their toilets and their electrics and they've got little hand fans and heaters and cooking and induction stovetops. I mean, it's fascinating to watch. But what I've noticed, though, that the people I've been following, they're called Eamon and Beck, if you want to check them out on YouTube, and their subscribers, even in the last 10 days, they must have added like 6,000 subscribers. Other people are searching for better quality of life. They're advocating essentially tiny living on wheels, tiny buildings on wheels. People are wanting a better quality of life, right? They're wanting to ask themselves, I don't actually know if my value proposition fits in with what I'm anticipating that the world expects of me. Right? Is it expecting me to go to high school, to go to college, university, to get a great job, to be uber successful, to make as much money as possible? What if I don't want to have that experience? What if I want to do something different? What if I want to go and live in a van? It's fascinating. They met a couple, I think they were in Mexico, and they met a couple who were actually from Spain, and they were driving around on a motorbike in a tent. Again, minimalism, really starting to identify what blows my hair back in terms of having fun and enjoying my life. And if that's something that really appeals to you, what does it take to go do it? Right? That's pretty awesome, right? Have more fun. And also, too, identifying what does make your heart sing. Spent some time with a friend just recently and really didn't know that she had so much passion for music, right? And to see her light up like a Christmas tree, we were listening to arias, and it was incredible. The music bringing so much joy. So what do you like to do for fun? Okay, trusting yourself. How do you get to trust yourself? Know, like, trust, right? You have to get to know yourself. How do you get to know yourself? You have to ask yourself questions. Like, how would you get to know somebody else? If you went to a party, you ask them questions. So you ask yourself questions. What do I think about this? Remember that movie, The Runaway Bride, with Julia Roberts? And it's quite fascinating because she's almost married. She, gets to the end of the aisle and then she runs away, like literally wears sneakers when she's endeavouring to get married. And she meets Richard Gere and they kind of, fall in love, and then they're about to get married, and then she's walking up the aisle and she's like, oh my goodness, I can't do it. And then they have an argument, which is basically, he says to her, you don't know yourself. You don't know what it is that you want. And it was quite fascinating because it shows a kind of montage, right? Of there's one scene where she's got all these eggs in front of her and she's just going through all the different types of eggs and like scrambled eggs, poached eggs, fried eggs, to actually figure out what it is that she wants. This is what we need to do for ourselves as well, right? To know yourself, you need to know what it is that you like. You need to know what it is that you don't like. Ask yourself, what is it that I value? I have a values chart that I use and use it even with my pendulum to go, okay, what are my values? And, even to me, it was really fascinating because it was kind of unknown to me, but it made a lot of sense that one of my values is my environment, what environment that I'm in and how that environment feels. Uber important to me. If you know your values, you can live in alignment with them and your happiness exponentially increases. So to trust yourself, because a lot of people go, I just need to trust life more. Trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, it really is the same thing. You're an infinite being embodied. Trusting God, trusting source energy to help you in your life, to help you achieve what it is that you want to achieve, to help you have your dreams come true. If you want to trust yourself, you have to ask yourself questions. And in order to trust yourselves, we must consistently meet our needs, right? You have to be prepared to ask yourself a question and then follow through on it, which comes back, of course, to accountability. Are you meeting your own needs? And this is such a good question because you know what happens? We have expectations that other people should meet our needs and then we get kind of annoyed and upset and pissed off, right, when they don't. But you have to ask yourself, why am I expecting them to do that if I'm not doing it for myself, right? Being really in that space of going, okay, because we're the ones who know, right? We're the ones who know what it is that we need. Well, if you don't know what you need, now's a good time to start asking you, what do you need in terms of your self-care? What do you need in terms of your food? What do you need in terms of sleep? What do you need in relationships? And I know people can go, it sounds like too much work. But if you keep yourself in the energy of this is awesome, because the more I know myself and know what I need, the more I can actually create an environment where I'm going to get it. Because if I know that I want that, then I can ask for it. So really starting to identify, what environment do I need to be in to feel safe? At home, out, what is it that I enjoy? What do I need emotionally in terms of a sense of safety? Maybe it's that you're in a relationship where you don't raise your voices with each other or that you don't use disrespectful words towards each other, right? So really starting to get really clear about what it is that you need so you can actually meet your own needs. And this is so important too because it leads into another one, which is about boundaries. Because if you know that your need is not being met, it can become very clear in terms of what's respectful and what's not. Because if you know what the need is and you're happy to meet that need yourself, but you have somebody else in your life and world who's not happy to meet that need, then it becomes very clear and then you can speak to that, if that makes sense. Okay, this is a big one, and I know a lot of people have been feeling this, especially if you're feeling the shift in frequencies that are occurring on the planet at the moment, and that is to rest when you're tired. Number 5, rest when you're tired. Rest is essential. Your spiritual awakening only goes as fast as your central nervous system essentially can assimilate and calibrate it. So you need to rest. And a lot of people, right, we have all this push energy, or we have done. I think people are even adjusting to that and going, it's not really working for me anymore, right? My body only has so much kind of bandwidth energetically each day, only has so much energy per day. What you choose to focus on is super important. Number one thing you can do, folks, in terms of your vitality is to clear negative energy out of your field. What does that look like? Going back to number 1, forgiving yourself and other people. Massively important. People don't understand that if you're carrying those energies, it can have a huge impact on your physical body. You literally feel lighter after an energetic clearing. That's the whole point. So resting when you feel tired. I know some people feel guilty when they rest, but rest is super important, right? You know, when you sleep, you actually astral travel into different dimensions where you can gain information, wisdom, knowledge, power in terms of creating a life that you really love. Your brain activity is actually more when you're asleep than when you're awake. Fancy that. Isn't that interesting? But sleeps, right, improves productivity, memory, creativity, and concentration. It allows us to integrate what we've learned, rejuvenate, and clear our minds. You know what it's like when you've had a good rest? That's how your body integrates often shifting energies. Super important, making it a priority. Going back to the one previously about trusting yourself, what do you need in terms of your sleep? Are you an 8-hour night person, or are you like good on 5? You know, really starting to learn what that is and having really good sleep patterns. Rest also, though, I find it really fascinating. People often rest better when they're not at home. Right? Because often, do you know that? Like if you have a staycation at home, you often feel like there's something else to do, right? The chore list can be long, so it can take quite a lot of mental agility to be able to go, you know what, I'm going to sit down on the sofa, I'm going to read a book, and I'm not going to feel guilty about all the other things that I have to do. Sometimes to truly, really relax, we need to get out of town. So, and to give yourself permission not to have to think about anything, and that's how we get rested. So that's number 5. Number 6, set boundaries. I've talked about this before extensively, right? Boundaries protect your time, energy, and personal safety. They communicate your expectations and help others understand what's okay with you and what's not. When you're not used to setting boundaries, it can be scary and confusing. Take it slow. Learning to set boundaries is a skill that we need to learn with practice. Start by identifying what you need, how you want to be treated, and remind yourself that your needs are valid and communicating them assertively is healthy. I help people with this a lot, you know. Empaths in particular, they're often very open in their energy, and they can pick up a lot of other people's energy, obviously. It's number one curse of an empath, right, is being able to feel everybody else's feelings and often feeling really overwhelmed by that. So what we need to do is to learn how to create boundaries. And it's not just a personal boundary, as in your physicality, it's actually also an energetic boundary, i.e. I'm not choosing not to carry energy for this other person. I'm choosing to be very aware if somebody's crossed my boundary, right, like to feel it in your body, even if it's energetic. Right, and this is which is interesting as well, because if you're psychic, you can even tell, right, when people are being unkind. So, you know, if they're talking smack about you, you can have an energetic boundary, which is like, I'm not open to that energy. I'm not open to the dissonance that is being created. So protecting yourself from that accordingly and knowing how to do that. Super important. And even on the physical level, right, to be able to say somebody, no, that doesn't work for me. I'm not interested, or no, thank you, or I'd prefer not to, or that's not a good fit for me. Having some of those statements up your sleeve where you can just say, no, I prefer not to. And the irony is, in my experience, when you develop boundaries, you know, it's because you've developed them that you kind of don't need them anymore. I know that sounds kind of strange and unusual, but you get to a place where you know yourself so well that you know instantly if something's off and you can deal with it energetically, immediately. You know, if something's impinged upon your energy field, if you have that awareness and sensitivity, you can deal with it immediately. So you're always kind of keeping yourself in a healthy space in terms of those boundaries. Okay, number 7, let go of resentments. Which goes back to forgiveness, right? Are you holding on to anger and grudges? This sucks up energy that you could be using for more productive pursuits. Letting go of anger doesn't mean you're forgiving or choosing to continue in a relationship with someone who has hurt you. It means you're choosing not to put any more mental energy and negative thoughts and feelings into it. So talk to somebody. Write about what happened and how it's affected you, identifying the feelings you have beyond anger, acknowledge how you've contributed to the problem, practice some self-compassion, and choose to release your anger. Anger is one of those things that, you need to... Anger is great on so many different levels. A lot of people go, oh, it's terrible, if I'm angry, it's really bad. Anger can be an amazing propellant to actually shift you out of a situation if you know how to use anger effectively, which is not extending it towards others. You're using it kind of like rocket fuel, so you're sending it in a direction so it can propel you forward. And then, of course, you just let it burn out, right, as opposed to continuing to stay in that energy of anger. But if you are feeling feeling angry towards somebody, it's super important to be able to acknowledge it and love it. Bring some self-acceptance to it. You know, if it's continuing to go on perpetually, it means that your feelings haven't been witnessed. You need to learn how to witness yourself and say, it's totally okay for you to feel angry. You know, it's complete. Your feelings are always correct. Sometimes, though, I see it a lot, especially in women, where they don't even acknowledge their anger. They don't even know that they're angry, right? It just comes out in kind of distorted ways. Maybe it comes out in a snippy comment or some sarcasm or defensiveness, and they can't even see that actually there's part of them that's feeling hurt and angry, and that's what needs to be addressed for the energy to shift. And again, just letting go of resentment. If you've got somebody in your life and world that you're feeling resentful towards, go to number 1, which is that forgiveness process. But again, when you're free of the resentment, think about all the time and energy that it can take up thinking about that person or sending them kind of negative energy from your mind. Or, again, I would call it giving your power away, right? Where you're focusing on something that's not serving you in any way, shape or form. And it's up to you to go, oh, my energy's going in a direction that's not really serving me. So how do I bring it back so I can experience peace in this moment? Letting go of resentments is really about you reclaiming your headspace so you can be happier, right? So you can be in that space of like, oh, thank goodness, I don't have to think about that anymore because it's just taking me down into a deep, dark hole. Okay, number 8, say goodbye to difficult, negative or unsupportive people. Totally. Right? Now, this what happens naturally kind of as part of the spiritual awakening process, right? You start vibrating at a different frequency because you learn what the truth is, and the truth has a certain vibration. And when you're moving into greater truth, you'll start not vibing perhaps at the same vibration as some of the people around you, because everybody does their growth at different rates. So if somebody kind of falls out of your world, it's okay. Right? Especially if they vibrate. And again, your rational mind can be like, oh, this is really bad. I love this person. And you can still love them and not necessarily engage, if that makes sense. Right? You can still love them and be separate from them. A lot of people find this harder as a concept. I've definitely had people in my life, and I'm sure they would say the same thing about me, where they've just gone, let that person go. We're just not, what brought us together has evolved. And now we've just moved apart. We're in a different place. We have different values. We have a different focus. We want to be treated perhaps in a different way, and they have a different value proposition. So again, if that circumstance is happening to you, and it will happen, it happens to everybody throughout the course of their lifetime. People come into your life for a season, reason, or a lifetime, and you evolve, and then they move out of your life. So if you have somebody who's difficult, who's negative, who's unsupportive, make it okay to love yourself enough to say, you know what, that's not for me. I've had plenty of circumstances of that before, where somebody even had to say to me, this person is actually a bully. And I was like, really? And, like I'd been friends with them for so long and hadn't seen it that way, but knew that I didn't love the relationship the way it was. So asking for that to change and to be different. But then, if that person doesn't want to change, what do? You just go your separate ways. So ending unfulfilling relationships always also makes room for healthier people in your life. I remember I had a circumstance where that happened, and boom, within a couple of months, right, I'd met some really new, cool people that I vibed with a lot better. So again, notice that within yourself. Maybe it's already happened. Number 9, accept your feelings without judgment. I am so hot on this. I love, the emotional landscape. I'm a Scorpio. I feel deeply. Once upon a time in my life, I often used to judge my emotions and go, whoa, I'm too intense, or I'm too deep, or I'm making other people feel uncomfortable because of my own emotions. But what I've realized, right, is your emotions are valid no matter what they are. I think it was Jeff Foster, if anybody's heard of him. He's in the UK. He's like, I don't know what he would call him, spiritual speaker, coach. Anyway, I remember his analogy was, if your emotions like children, like rage, jealousy, anger, hate, and they were all standing at your front door, knocking on your front door, and you know that they're your children, are you going to open the door and let them in? Right? And it was a really great analogy, because it was like, yeah, you have to accept all the parts of yourself. This is what, again, in spiritual terms, we call doing the shadow work. Looking at all the parts of ourselves within ourselves that we might be ignoring, denying, pretending aren't there, or scared of, because they feel dark and icky and yucky, and to be curious enough to go, actually, like a child, like almost to bring innocence to those parts of ourselves, like a little child with a torchlight going in there and going, oh, what's in here? And instead of thinking that there's a big monster, what you find is you just turn the lights on and there's nothing there, right? That's how the emotion shifts, but it needs to be acknowledged. You need to invite those little kids in, and you need to say, I love you to your hate. You need to say, I love you to your jealousy. You need to say, I love you to where you're comparing yourself to other people. You need to say, I love you to your own judgment, your blame, your criticism, all the sadness, the hurt, the pain. That's what your emotions want. They want to be witnessed. They want to be validated. They want to be accepted. Once you accept an emotion, it moves through. I did a video in the Facebook group the other day, which is basically saying the difference between your energetic vibration and your emotions. And your energetic vibration, I use the analogy of like your energetic vibration is like the sun. Like it's constant, right? It's constant set point. It's radiating at a constant set point. Your emotions are like clouds. So they come and they go. They are not who you are. Your vibration, which is kind of your energetic frequency, is different from your emotions. And I think what happens is people get caught up, especially through the law of attraction, right? They go, oh, I'm thinking a bad thought, so I'm going to create something really bad. It's about your vibration. That is what is creating the manifestation. If your vibration is really contracted and you're sitting in the energy of guilt and shame all the time, you're probably going to feel frustrated. There's a deep need for healing there. There's probably some forgiveness that needs to take place for your vibration to expand quite quickly, and that's when manifestations can occur because your energy is more expanded. It's easier to manifest what it is that you want because you're not in contraction. So knowing the difference, right, between your vibration and your emotions, and a big part of that is to learn to accept those emotions, right? Instead of going, oh, look, it's a cloud or it's going to rain, right? It's like to be able to go, oh, there's a cloud there, right? And just be in the acceptance of what the emotion is. And also, too, to lean in, right? Which a lot of people are like, you're crazy, you're what? If you've got a discomfort within you, it is part of your intuitive guidance. Your emotions are a guidance system. They're telling you if something's off. How cool is that, right? To know, oh, look, I'm out of alignment. So if I lean in, I can ask this emotion questions and get information. Like, what's it showing me? What is the gift here? How can this emotion actually be helping me to move towards what it is that I actually want? Crazy but true. Yeah, she says your feelings are messages trying to tell you something important, and when you ignore them, they contribute to health problems, unhealthy coping behaviours, overeating, drinking, stress. Make peace with your feelings, invite them in without judgment. Now, this is a practice. Now, imagine if they taught this at school, right, where let's just tune into how you're feeling and bring it some love. Right, to bring love. I mean, again, love is the most powerful healing energy on the planet. Source energy is pure love frequency and beyond. When we tune into that and we allow the infinite part of ourselves to be present, you can heal anything. I will attest to that. And, everybody goes through circumstances that are traumatizing and difficult and hard work and painful, but this is, we haven't been left without any resources. The universe is waiting for you to say, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to be healed. And now this is something that came up last night, just in my awareness, because I'm always talking to the universe, which is healing. There's nothing wrong with you, right? You're not broken, but the process of healing is letting go, right? The process of healing is letting go of anywhere you've picked up illusion or mistruth or dissonance or stuff that's not true about you. Course in Miracles says, right, the Son of God is innocent. So you're not broken. There's literally nothing wrong with you, but you're possibly carrying some baggage, some burden, and that's what needs to be released. You've picked something up, something that's untrue, and you've made a decision about it, and you've decided that that's true for you, and it's not. Anywhere you've judged yourself as wrong or bad or not good enough, that's not true. The universe does not see you that way. You are not that in truth. So it's up to us to let go of it, hence going back to releasing the judgment, the blame, the criticism. Anything that's not a love frequency is basically an untruth. I know. It's fascinating, isn't it? Okay, so accepting your feelings without judgment. Number 10, take responsibility for your life. Ooh, yeah. Other people may have hurt you or held you back in various ways, but ultimately you are responsible for your life, and blaming others or circumstances doesn't help you to create a more satisfying life. Own your mistakes and choices. Don't blame others for your problems or get stuck in a victim mindset. Now, this is a big one, right? And this is a huge part. Like I do a program every year called Intuitive Mastery. It's actually coming up again in September. We'll be doing it again. But one of the fundamental key points of that program is that you are responsible for yourself. You create your own reality by what you choose to put in it. So if you want to be happy, you will do what it takes to be accountable for yourself. You will take responsibility. Now, a lot of people see the word responsibility and they go, oh, it feels so heavy. Responsibility, if you look at the word, means the ability to be able to respond. You're doing that all day, every day, anyway. So when we're talking about responsibility and accountability, it means that we're actually willing to look at ourselves and go, where am I not showing up for myself? Where am I not taking responsibility for a decision I've made? Where have I gone into denial? Where have I gone into a bit of a cross purpose? Where am I not seeing the truth? You know, those are really good questions to ask yourselves, and I see people struggle with this a lot. You know, if you're unhappy, you don't get to blame anybody else. You have to do something about that. And this, again, when we come up against victim energy, this can be really confronting. You know, if you're unhappy, then you have created that. And I know, right? Because I've been that person where I was like, I can't believe that person said that, and that makes me so unhappy. And again, right, flipping that to, wow, that's interesting that that person has that perspective. This is how I'm choosing to respond. Completely different mindset and attitude. And also, too, people struggle with accountability. They want to blame the government. They want to blame the weather. They want to blame other people. This reinforces duality. Duality being I'm over here and you're over there, light, dark, polarity. Whereas the truth is oneness, right? We're all connected. We are all of one mind. Universal law, the law of one. So when we can start to actually take more responsibility for ourselves, we can spiritually shift and align into those oneness frequencies. It will not occur until you are ready to do that. If you're not ready to take accountability for yourself, it's not going to happen. All right, Facebook, I'm going to say bye for now. Thanks for tuning in. No, folks, every 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, we do, well, it's been more like the first 30 minutes here on the Facebook Intuitive Life Academy page. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. So just finishing up on Facebook there, folks, and we're talking about the 14 things that you can do to increase your emotional health. And we're up to number 10, which was take responsibility for your life. It's a big one. It is a big one, but it's a good one. If you can take responsibility for your life, you go from feeling disempowered to totally empowered, right? If you're the person who's going to go, you know what? I am the creator of my reality, and I get to choose. I get to choose where I place my attention. I get to choose what vibration I live in. I get to choose what I manifest. Life becomes amazing. So again, if you are in a place where you're kind of struggling, you're suffering, kind of ask yourself, to what level am I taking accountability for my life? To what level am I seeing myself as responsible for all of it? All of it. You know, and I know that's confronting. If you've got somebody in your life who's like being a jerk or being unkind, being cruel, you are accountable in the respect that you get to choose how you respond. And again, remembering if there's a limiting belief there, if somebody says something cruel and you have a limiting belief within you, part of you is going to believe it, because it's resonating with what they're saying, right? But if they say something cruel and you're in a different energetic vibration, you're not going to believe it. You're going to be like, that's okay, that's about them. I'm going to send them some love and light anyway, even though they're obviously experiencing some kind of pain and suffering to behave that way in the first place, right? So that's the thing. Like, a lot of people miss this. When people are unkind or cruel in your life, you don't want to just dismiss it. That creates indifference. If somebody's unkind to you, you want to start asking questions. This is the first way I actually started developing my intuition. When people were snippy at work, I would be like, oh, I wonder what's up with them. You know, I would go into questioning it and having some compassion, empathy, like there must be something going on for them that's affecting the way that they're choosing to behave. Right? And then realizing, and then of course there was part of me that went into over responsibility because I was, you know, being empathetic. You're like, oh, I want to fix it or make it better for that person. No, right? That's crossing boundaries. But getting to that place where you can actually go, if I have somebody in my world who is unhappy, in conflict, what am I responsible for? You don't want to go into the energy. You don't want to do endeavour to fix, heal or solve the problem for you unless they specifically ask for your help. You can offer it, but there has to be an agreement that takes place. You don't want to just barge in there and go, you're miserable and you need my help. I've made that mistake before. Again, everybody has, they have their own sovereignty. They get to choose, and that's literally true, right? If you know somebody and they're choosing to be miserable, it's actually none of your business. Whoa, right? Ooh, next level in terms of accountability, right? It's their journey. It's their process. You can offer your support. You can tell that person, I'm here for you. You know, you can express, oh, wow, I feel so bad because I see you and you're in pain and that pains me. You know, is there anything that I can do? Don't step into like, we've got to solve this situation, we've got to fix it, we've got to change it, because you'll probably just create resistance in that other person if they're not ready to step into that next level of accountability. Okay, so number 11 is focus on what you can control. You know, control is an interesting one. I've often seen it linked to guilt. Many things in life aren't in our control, especially what other people think and do. And when we put our time and energy into trying to change people or situations that are beyond our control, we usually end up frustrated and resentful. Refer to what I was just saying. It's wiser to differentiate what we can control, namely ourselves, and what we can't, and then choosing on changing our behaviours and thoughts. I see this a lot. I see a lot of people often who are banging the drum and they go, we've got to change the world. And my answer to that is change yourself first, right? If you can honestly say that you are at a level where you are taking complete responsibility for your life, that you are managing to focus your attention in the direction that you want it to go every day, then go out into the world and offer that energy to other people. But you know, the only thing that you have control over is yourself. If you're going into controlling other people, that is actually manipulation. And the thing here as well is often people get really tripped up on control. Being in control when you're driving a car, now that's a great thing, right? Being in control in regards to other people is never going to happen. It is going to make you feel frustrated and resentful. Why did they say that? I don't know. You know, that's on them. You don't want to go into analysing it to death. Yeah, you want to have some compassion and do some inquiry about it perhaps, but you don't want to get stuck in a loop or a pattern of energy where you're trying to figure out where somebody's coming from. That's just going to drive you nuts. Right? You want to love them, you want to bless them, you want to go, you're connected to the infinite universe, so you've got all the resources that you need to figure this out. But really, because again, I see this often in terms of creating guilt. I have to control the circumstance. What does control create? Feelings of frustration and anger. You know, if you're feeling like you can't control something, you're going to end up feeling that way. So one of the remedies from A Course in Miracles for this, right, is to go, I'm not in control. I am a child of the universe. This is why we need to develop this relationship with our infinite self, because the universe is in control. of everything, right? It knows what's happening. But however, we have free will, so we get to turn up and make choices that maybe source energy wouldn't choose for itself. But the universe knows more than we do. It has the expanded perspective. So we need to realize that in terms of our own suffering is always caused from too limited a perspective, right? What does it take when you're feeling controlling to let it go? And you know what? Say the universe has got this. I'm going to give it up to the universe because I'm not in control. I'm a child of the universe. So I'm going to give up where I'm trying to control this situation or this person or this circumstance. I'm going to give it up to the universe. That's why surrender is so powerful as well in terms of helping you to move towards what you want. If you want to read a great book on surrender, Michael A. Singer's book, he wrote the book The Untethered Soul, which I haven't actually read, but I've heard it's very good. But I've read his book, The Surrender Experiment. Amazing. He made a decision as a young man that he would surrender basically everything up to the universe. Amazing to read what unfolds in his life. Really great story. Okay, and it's true. Okay, number 12, take chances rather than always playing it safe. I talk about this a lot, right? Step outside of your comfort zone. Courage and confidence only come from, they're kind of like the infinity symbol. You need to have the courage to take the action to move outside of your comfort zone, and then the confidence follows, and then it can snowball into being able to take bigger and bigger risks. You need to pop yourself out of your comfort zone. If you're afraid of failure or if you're a perfectionist, you're probably going to cut yourself to death with 1,000 little paper cuts because you're going to stop yourself from trying new things and taking chances because you think it needs to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Right? As a human being, you're inherently imperfect, but that does not mean that you are not lovable just as you are. Right? We don't want to fail, be criticised, or look foolish. What would it take to get really comfortable with looking like an idiot? And again, because if you don't care, other people really don't care. Because again, it's that filter of reality. So you'll limit your success, creativity, and fun when you play it safe. Sometimes you just got to do something a little bit outrageous and step outside of your comfort zone and actually schedule it. Do something that scares you every day. Super good way to live. Number 13, notice the positives in your life. Now, I would say that is gratitude. Today is Thankful Thursday. In the Facebook group, we talk about what it is that we're grateful for. Why do we want to do this? Because it's so good in terms of recalibrating your energetic frequency to a higher vibration. If you get good at gratitude, and I get it, folks. I remember once upon a time, I would be asking the universe, show me what it is to be grateful, because I did not feel grateful. My energy and my mind were in such a place that it was a negative loop of energy. I struggled to find things to be grateful for, but I did it, right? I remember one day I was like, what am I grateful for? And then I was like, well, I'm grateful that I've got arms and legs, because some people don't. There's always something to be grateful for. And again, if you keep on being consistent in it, it can be a really great upward spiral. Gratitude reinforces what you already have. It puts you in a good vibration. When you're in that good vibration, again, consistently, remember, it's about the sun, not the clouds. If you're in that energy more and more consistently, you will raise your vibration. You'll raise your set point. When you raise your set point, you expand your energy. When your energy is more expanded, you'll be able to manifest more easily, right? So it is an ongoing process, but it's kind of like forgiveness. We want to do it consistently. If you're having a bad day, find some things to be grateful for. You can literally shift your focus in any given moment. Even if it's like, I've got this chair to sit in, or isn't it great that I've got shoes on, or that the air conditioning's on so I get to be warm. This morning I was walking around my house saying, thank you so much, house, for keeping me warm and dry. Why? Because everything is energy. Like your home, the bits of wood, the nails, the roof, it's all energy. And we know this too. So you want to put love energy in your environment. You want to put love energy in where you live, because it's going to increase the vibration over time. You think about it. If something like gnarly has happened in a house, like some kind of death, altercation, physical attack, etc., you can feel it. Right? So it's the same with love on the opposite. You can feel the vibration of love. Love your house up. Invite your angels and guides to come in to support you in your house. Feeling amazing. Number 14, speak up for yourself. Many of us fail to be assertive because we think it's rude or selfish, so we stay silent. We allow others to mistreat us. We don't voice our ideas and opinions and build resentments because we expect others to know what we want or need. Even when we don't communicate our needs or wants, right? We talked about the need of that when coming to trust yourself. When we're passive, we don't respect and value ourselves. Assertive communication shows respect for ourselves and for others. It's thoughtful, polite, and calm. And we owe it to ourselves to speak up. You know, what did they say? Depress, repress, suppress. And the remedy for all of that is express. Express yourself. Find a way to express yourself. You know, voice your ideas and opinions when you're talking to people. You know, even if people don't receive it, then you might want to be looking at, where do I need other people's validation to be okay? What part of me doesn't think that I'm worthy in terms of what I'm expressing? But the more you get to know yourself, the more you'll know what it is that you do value, and you will be able to express that. This is important to me. This is why it's important to me. Super important, especially in this day and age, right? To be aware of what makes your heart sing, and to be whatever you're passionate about, like even asking yourself, why are you passionate about it? Why am I passionate about coming here to the radio every Thursday morning and sharing information with you guys? It's because A, because I love you. B, because I want you to not experience pain. I want you to know the truth. I want you to know that you are love frequency. I want you to know that you didn't just get dropped off on this planet without a roadmap to be happy. That is not the universe's intention for you. You didn't come here to suffer and to be miserable. No way. You do have free will though, so you can activate the infinite power of the universe available to you at any given moment, or not. All right. And it's really interesting, right, about how you know, physio, psychotherapy, psychiatry is actually very closely aligned and assimilated with doing spiritual work, because it's all about how do we get to that place within our life where we feel really happy, where we feel joyous, we're experiencing the truth of who we really are. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in and joining me. Just so you know, you're always welcome to join the Facebook group which is in the Intuitive Life Academy. If you could look up the Intuitive Life Academy on Facebook, and you can dial into the group. You have to ask to join the group, of course, but it's a private community. It's totally free. It's about supporting you and helping you to shift your frequency to a higher vibration, which of course happens over time as you go through your spiritual awakening process, and to learn what it takes to really experience more happiness in your life. That's what we're all about, by developing your intuition, right? Because you are way more powerful than you give yourself credit for. So super exciting to support people in that facilitation and process. Other thing, of course, if you need some help at the moment, you're always welcome to connect with me at RebeccaDavison.life. There's a book, I think there's Chat to Me or Book Now or something, but under that tab there's an option to have a free 25-minute consultation with me if you're really looking to go to that next level of spiritual awareness, of looking at that, going to that next level of, what does my ultimate dream life look like? If you're interested in stepping into and creating that, which is super exciting, right? Like, knowing that anything is possible is super powerful, right? When you get free and clear of any baggage that you're carrying, amazing things can happen. I've seen so many miracles happen for my clients, which they didn't even think were possible, right? Because they're still in that energy of thinking or believing on the rational mind level. We all know your subconscious is more powerful than your rational mind, but the good news is your superconscious, or your infinite self, is more powerful still. So there is a solution to every problem. I know, once upon a time I wouldn't have even believed that, but it is totally true. I could share plenty of stories of trauma with you where I thought that is absolutely not possible, but it's totally true, right? If you ask the universe to help you, the universe will heal anything that's going on for you. It's totally possible to be healed. So folks, again, thanks for joining me. It's great to come to you guys live. If you want to drop me a line and let me know what topics you would like me to talk to on the Find Your Bliss radio show. Many thanks to psychologist Sharon Martin for the inspiration for today's topic, 14 things that you can do for your emotional health. Know that I am always here for you, always always in your corner and by your side, right? And if nobody's told you today, I love you, and I hope you're taking good care of yourself and you're focusing on what's true in terms of navigating, especially these uncertain times. But know that you've got what it takes, and through the power of your infinite self, you are never alone and you're always supported. I'm sending you lots of love, folks. Take good care. We'll talk to you again next Thursday. Bye for now.